You've just opened folder 404, a place for stories that never made the news because they were never supposed to be told. Each night, a new case, a new file pulled from the dark, buried deep in digital dust and forgotten places. Some say they're myths, others know better. Before we begin, put on your headphones, turn off the lights. Trust me, the story wants you alone. Now, take a breath. This one's been waiting. Let's start the descent. Enjoy. The Reflection Cult. The first disappearance was easy to ignore. A missing person in a suburb like Fairgrove Hills, wide streets, trimmed hedges, 3 Starbucks within walking distance, just felt like an outlier. A runaway teen, maybe? Then the second one went viral, a TikTok clip, girl filming her nighttime skincare routine. Mid-laugh, she turned, looked into the mirror, and froze. Her reflection didn't. It smiled. She screamed. The phone clattered to the floor, showing only ceiling. Then nothing. She was gone by morning. Casey found the video through a Reddit thread titled "WTF is going on with mirrors lately?" She wasn't a ghost chaser, not really, but something about the clip stuck. She'd seen fakes before. This felt different. The comments agreed. That's how she ended up on a Discord server called Refraction Watch. "Another one's gone," said Mateo, voice scratchy through his headset. "This one's in Oregon. Same thing. Person reports weird mirror behavior, then vanishes." "I pulled the county police logs," Casey replied. She tapped through tabs on her laptop, eyes red-rimmed from no sleep. "There's 24 disappearances across 6 states, all since March. Do the cops think it's connected?" "They don't think anything," she muttered. "They're calling it a TikTok trend. Mass hysteria." On the screen, their mutual friend Gwen sat cross-legged in her chair, bathed in soft purple LED light. "You know what's weird?" Gwen asked. "I found a pattern." She turned her webcam toward a bulletin board, filled with printouts, photos, red string, a conspiracy cliché brought to life. "In the footage," she said, "every mirror that acts weird is at least decades old. Antique, no modern stuff. Nothing with LED lights, smart mirrors, nothing like that." Mateo leaned in. "So what? Old mirrors are haunted?" Gwen shook her head. I think they're gateways." They called it ridiculous. At first, then Gwen vanished. Her last message on the Discord read, "Don't look into the mirror after 3:33 a.m. It's not you looking back." They thought it was a joke. But after 2 days, when she didn't return calls, emails, or answer her door, Casey started to believe. She packed her car and drove to Gwen's apartment. Inside, nothing looked disturbed. Coffee in the pot, a cold bowl of oatmeal. Her computer still logged into Refraction Watch. The mirror in her bathroom had been smashed. A small, strange book lay on Gwen's desk. The Doctrine of the Other Face. Hand-bound, no author. Casey opened it. "There are 2 realms, the seen and the true. What we call reflections are glimpses of our real selves, imprisoned beyond glass. The reflection is not mimicry, it is containment. But containment can be undone." She flipped further. Instructions, a ritual. Bring the mirror world through. She scanned pages, photographed everything, then left. She didn't see it, the way her reflection lingered in the hallway mirror, staring long after she walked away. "Back online," Mateo's voice trembled. "You're saying Gwen joined a cult?" Casey wasn't sure, but she had a new theory. Not everyone vanishing was a victim. Some were willing. The deeper they dug, the clearer the picture became. Scattered across the country, people were forming cells of a belief system, with no central leadership, just a shared text, the doctrine. It had been spreading online for years, buried in encrypted forms, passed hand to hand in zines, QR codes on bathroom stalls. They called themselves the Reflection. They believed the real world was a lie, that true existence was just out of reach, and the mirror was the veil. Casey found one of them. Through a burner Reddit account, she posed as an initiate, said the right things, repeated the doctrines. 3 days later, she was invited into a house in Brentwood. "Come see," the message said. "Come reflect." She went in the afternoon. The house was old, shuttered windows. Inside, candles, dust, silence. 3 people in grey robes sat cross-legged around an antique vanity. The mirror was pristine. "Sit," one of them said, "and speak your truth." She hesitated, then sat. In the mirror, her reflection stared back. But then it blinked out of sync. Her reflection smiled. Casey's blood went cold. "I want to understand," she said. One of the cultists leaned close. A woman, pale, lips cracked. "You will, soon." They gave her another copy of the doctrine, told her to come back at 3:33 a.m. That night, back in her motel, she locked every mirror in the bathroom inside the cabinet. But she still felt watched. Mateo tried to talk her out of going back. She didn't listen. 3:30 a.m. the house again. Candles were lit. The cultists stood in a circle now. Casey entered the mirror room. The vanity glowed faintly. The woman in grey handed her a shard of mirror glass. "Bleed," she said. Casey pressed the shard to her palm. Just a scratch. Enough. The glass drank the blood. The mirror rippled. And her reflection, it stepped forward, not mimicking, not copying, moving on its own. The room went dark. Then came a whisper, not from anyone living. "The barrier is thin. The mirror is the mouth. Let us speak." She ran out of the house, into the night, past the others who didn't chase her. They only watched, smiling. She never spoke of what she saw in that mirror, not fully. But she and Mateo shut down the Discord, burned their drives, and still, sometimes in polished windows, in puddles at night, in the curve of a phone screen, something stares back, not quite her. The reflection is still spreading, a whisper through glass, a cult that doesn't recruit. It awakens. Don't look too long, don't stay after 3:33, and if your reflection ever smiles first, run. Was that scary enough? Let us know in the comments if it got under your skin. Was it what you expected, or did it leave you breathless? Now, let's dive into the next. Brace yourself. Mother of Flies. The summer of 1974 came hot and slow over the hills of Greystone County, the kind of heat that bled the color out of everything. Grass turned the color of old hay, and the dirt roads coughed dust clouds behind every truck, like ghosts trying to catch a ride. The plague started with the goats. Sarah Anders first noticed it. Her husband Mark was out in the west pasture when she found the carcasses. The goats hadn't just died, they'd wasted. Hollowed eyes, skin so thin it clung to the bone like paper. No smell of rot, just death. The vet came out, muttering about some strange intestinal parasite. But it wasn't just them. Within weeks, the whole township was burying animals. Hogs, cattle, chickens. The land was turning hollow. "You think it's the soil?" Mark asked one night, sweat slicking his back even in the shade of the porch. He lit a cigarette and squinted at the field. Sarah leaned on the railing, eyes narrowed at the silence of the barn. "Soil doesn't make flies come out of dead things like that." He didn't reply. Inside, their son Jacob, 6 years old and too smart for his own good, lay on the living room rug, drawing shapes with a stub of crayon. His older sister, Mary Beth, was in the kitchen trying to coax supper out of canned beans and whatever the hens hadn't refused to lay. That night was the first time they heard the buzzing, not loud, just a low hum like something tickling the edge of sleep. She came 3 days later, Walking the road barefoot, a wide-brimmed hat pulled low over her face, her long skirts stained with dust. Mark spotted her from the tractor and called to her. She smiled like she'd been expected. "I'm a traveler," she said, sitting at their kitchen table like she'd always belonged there. "Name's Alma. Heard folks were having trouble out here." Her voice was low, warm, but under it something sharp, something that prickled at the back of your throat. Sarah exchanged a glance with Marybeth. "You a doctor?" "I'm a healer," Alma said, dipping her fingers into her tea. "More traditional means?" Mark, desperate and too tired to care, invited her to stay the night. The next morning, the flies were gone. So were the carcasses. Mark found the barn clean, the stench lifted. Even the goats, the few remaining, stood tall, eyes clear. He came running back to the house, shouting like a boy on Christmas. "She did something," he told Sarah. "I don't know what, but the animals, they're fine." Alma just smiled, seated on the porch swing, braiding dried grass into little knots. The change came fast after that. Eggs filled the baskets again. Calves were born strong. The land, cursed for weeks, seemed to forgive them overnight. But Jacob, he started whispering in his sleep. At first, it was nonsense, just muttering, but soon the words turned cruel. Old words, ones Sarah didn't recognize but felt, like knives scraping under the skin. And the flies came back, not outside, inside, buzzing, always buzzing, no matter how many they swatted, how many traps they laid. The air thrummed with their wings. One evening, Marybeth found a knot of them writhing behind Jacob's dresser, not just clustering, but moving in patterns, forming symbols in the dust. She screamed. Mark tried to blame it on the weather. Sarah knew better. "Where did you learn your healing?" she asked Alma one night. The woman looked up from her braiding, her eyes darker than the dusk. "From the earth, from what came before all this." She waved at the house, the fields, before man broke the pact. Sarah's hand tightened on her tea. "What pact?" Alma's smile was all teeth, the one your kind forgot. That night, Sarah heard Jacob speaking again, not whispering, chanting. She crept down the hallway and found him standing in the middle of his room, eyes closed, arms raised. His voice didn't sound like his own, deeper, guttural, layered like two people speaking at once. Flies covered the walls, black and pulsing. She tried to step forward, but her legs wouldn't move, her body locked, held in place by something old and unseen. When she finally broke free, Jacob collapsed. Blood ran from his nose in two thin rivers. She woke Mark, told him Alma had to go, but Alma was already waiting in the kitchen. "I understand," she said calmly. "Mothers are protective." She rose from the chair, brushing the braid off her lap. "But it's not your son you're saving." Sarah froze. Alma leaned close, whispering like wind through leaves. "He's not yours anymore." They tried to leave the next morning, packed the truck, loaded the kids, left the house behind with its hum of wings. The engine wouldn't start. Mark cursed, lifted the hood, found flies thick inside the casing, hundreds, thousands, buzzing like a single heartbeat. He slammed it shut and backed away. Jacob was watching him from the back seat, lips moving again. By nightfall, they were back inside. The house felt smaller, the walls damp. Alma no longer smiled. She wandered barefoot through the rooms now, muttering in that old tongue, her hands dripping some black sap she smeared over the doors. Marybeth refused to come downstairs. She said she saw someone in the mirror, not her reflection, a woman with hollow sockets and a mouth full of wriggling wings. On the third night, Sarah woke to Jacob standing beside her bed. His mouth was moving, but no sound came out, just flies. They poured out, slow at first, then gushing, buzzing from his throat in a black stream. She screamed. Mark grabbed him, shaking him, but Jacob didn't blink, didn't cry, just smiled. The same smile Alma wore when she first arrived. They burned the house, dragged Alma outside, tied her to the porch post with a length of chain. She didn't fight. She looked at Sarah with something like pity. "You'll kill the body," she said, "but not the mother. She's beneath. She's waiting. You called her with your grief, and now she's here." Sarah threw the match. They say the fire raged for hours, black smoke curling up into the stars. The wind didn't blow it away. It sank, heavy, thick, feeding the soil. In the years after, nothing grew right on that land. The Anders family vanished. Some said they moved, others said they walked into the woods and never came back. But some nights, when the heat presses down and the air goes still, you can still hear the hum, low, constant, like wings against glass, and sometimes you'll see her, barefoot, hat low, walking the roads of Greystone, waiting for another door to open. And behind her, always, the flies follow. You heard what wasn't meant to be heard. You opened a file that should have stayed locked. Some memories corrupt more than just minds. Some stay. Take a breath, rest your thoughts, but don't trust the silence. Next folder opens tomorrow, folder 404.